If you've been online lately, you've probably heard that running a business is super easy and anyone can do it. Well, that's complete nonsense. We're here to share with you the real world of entrepreneurship. Welcome to I Can't Hustle Any Harder Than This.
Hello and welcome to this episode of I Can't Hustle Any Harder Than This. I'm Rachael here with
Emily. Hello.
And we have our special guest today, our first ever two-person interview. Woo woo. We've got Kat and Nick, a married couple who own the Burgh Bus. So I'll let you guys do a little intro. Kat, maybe you want to?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? I'm Kat Walker, and I am the co-owner, along with my husband, of the Burgh Bus, which we like to call Pittsburgh's most unique experience on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So make of that what you will.
That's nice.
Nick?
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm Nick. I'm Nick Walker. And yeah, we have the bus and we have the business, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, Pittsburgh transportainment is another term that we like to use. So here we are.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah. So you all started this in 2022. Did I see that correctly? But this was an idea way before that.
It was, yes. So Nick had really been the one who was toying with this idea for quite a while. It was like, I want to say at least 5 years or more before we actually put the concept into motion. We started the LLC in 2019. We purchased our first bus in 2019. Pandemic happened, of course, as we all know. Remember that? That was fun.
That was a good
5 years
time.
ago.
And
Wow.
we were about ready to launch, and
Yeah.
the shit hit the fan. Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you're allowed to
Yeah.
cuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
The shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
We had a baby, a real baby, not
Yeah.
a bus baby. And so we kind of put things on pause for a year,
Ish, yeah.
and then got back up and running and officially hit the streets with our first bus in 2022 in the spring.
Where does one find a bus?
Anywhere. You can buy a used school bus.
Anywhere?
Anywhere. Like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. But there are dealers. There are specific used school bus dealers.
Okay.
There are so many school buses out there you can buy. But
Like
that
a-
doesn't mean they're good. So that's the thing. You could go buy a school bus today for probably $500.
Wow.
But you're gonna have to put $20,000 into it to get it
Yeah.
up to state inspection level. But yeah, you can get a school bus anywhere. It's crazy.
Is it across the country anywhere?
So
or
we got these actually near Harrisburg.
Okay.
So just across the state.
Yeah,
Like,
we didn't go far. We
few
went
hours
to
away.
a specific dealership, and Kat reminded me when she was talking about starting out and stuff. She said we had one bus. It's really crazy. I always forget this story. This is our craziest story. So we actually bought two buses in the beginning, and they were two identical school buses. They were the exact same bus, the same model, size. The VINs were only off by a couple numbers. So they were brother and sister buses. So anyway, we had these two buses. We always wanted two. The one bus was at the mechanic getting its state inspection done, and there was a freak accident. It caught on fire.
This
And
was
the
right
bus-
before we were about
This
to
was
launch,
before we launched.
too.
So this was kind of an early business, whoa,
Wow.
anything can go wrong. Yeah, so that bus completely burned up in a fire, which was totally unexpected. And I always forget about this story until we talk about the early stages. But yeah, so that
Yeah.
bus was gone. So then we just had one when we launched.
It was a total loss.
But I think it worked
Wow.
out. It was
It
one of those
did.
things. The universe was kind of
Yeah.
Let's start with
'Cause
one.
Yeah, let's
really
do
we
one.
only
Yeah.
needed one.
We did it
to
only in the
start
first
out,
year, yeah.
Dipping a toe into what were the capabilities, what could this business handle, and how could we go from there?
Yeah.
So yeah,
But yeah.
I'd love to know, how did you come up with the idea, or how did that initial conversation go as a couple?
You just wake up one morning and you roll
Hey,
over
by
and
the
you're
way.
like, honey,
yeah. I
let's
have a vision.
get a bus.
I had
Let's get a bus together. All right,
Go
Emily
from
and I getting
there.
a bus together? Is
Yeah,
that
might have
something?
just-
Hey, I've got the connection, you guys.
We just had it.
We're going to move this podcast
Passing
to a
it.
bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for us it was literally years long conversations that went on, and we knew that we wanted to start our own business of some kind. We had various crazy ideas, and this seemed to be the most exciting, crazy idea. And we had never really like taken the big leap to like jump off the cliff and really like launch something on this scale before. And I think we just got to the point in life where we were like, fuck it, let's just do this. Let's, we buy these buses and let's try this out. And if we fail, we fail, but we can at least say we tried.
Heck yeah.
So we, for lack of a better phrase, grabbed life by the balls and did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I think it was one of the greatest decisions we ever made, just to take that leap. And I think you're so afraid to do that. Like there's all this lead up to taking that leap. There's a lot of legwork that you have to do, a lot of prep that you have to do, a lot of conversations to have, a lot of just thinking about the logistics, the insurance, like the fact that we have it's a BYOB, kind of situation, doing the research on that. What are the legalities? The retrofitting of the vehicles themselves. So it's been a long journey, but it's been very rewarding and awesome. So we're just so glad that we took that leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a personal question? Like you've been together for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Because thinking about like starting a business with a partner is like scary to me.
Yeah, like they always say, don't do that. Don't work with your family and friends. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious like how long you were together, or what you had been doing prior to deciding you were going to do a business together.
Yeah, we've actually been together since college. So going on 17 years we've been together. Married for over 10. Yeah.
almost
So
half
we've
of
been
our
together for a
lives.
while, and we've always both done different things, and they've always been separate, like separate things. We've never like done things together really. When it comes to like that, like doing a business thing, like we both had different jobs that were not related to each other at all.
Okay.
So then doing this was just kind of like, again, like Kat said, it was like, why not?
Yeah.
Try something new. And so, yeah, we just kind of took the leap. It was pretty crazy.
And I think having the proper conversations about what expectations were for working together too. Like when we were about to launch, we were also about to have a baby. So it was like having two different babies.
Yeah.
And we had to have these conversations kind of like, well, like I can be involved, but only like, so much. And so it had to be a bit of a delicate dance, but we've made it work. And I think also hiring the great team that we have, our driver and our hosts and comedians, it's all just been the glue that makes it all happen and come together.
What does a typical night look like on the bus? Now you have stand-up comedians come in. You have a host who's a comedian predominantly. You have other things as well, right? You do like drag performances on there.
Yep, we do drag performances. Lately, we've been doing a lot more like private events and shuttles. Like corporate events, weddings, even just like groups of people who are, celebrating a milestone birthday and they want to go on a brewery hop or something. So it's a lot more of like there's a choose your own adventure aspect to it where people can rent it as a private rental and they can have a comedian if they want, or they don't need to have a host. There's been, we've had, what else? We've had some like ghost tours.
Yes,
on
we've done
there.
haunted tours. Shout out John Chalkowski with Odd Pittsburgh. He's done all those. He's the man. We do shuttles out to Star Lake. We started those last year for
the
all
concerts. Okay.
And that was awesome. Like
Smart.
we always wanted to do that, even back when we were in the early stages of like talking about it, like in 2019, 2020.
So you're going into the parking lot and staying?
No, we drop
Just
off
taking
like
them.
at the main venue.
Okay.
Although this year with our small bus, we are doing a round trip shuttle service plus a tailgate. So yeah, we are going to show up early.
Wow.
And we're going to park in the lot with the little bus and, food and drink, games, music, and all that. And we're going to tailgate before, and everyone goes in, everyone gets on the bus at the end, and we'll leave. So that was something we did last year, which we always wanted to do. And, everyone's reception of that was phenomenal. We were really excited about that. But yeah, like Kat said, private parties, weddings, bar hops has been much bigger thing than we thought when we were in the planning stages, for sure.
Yeah.
But the stuff with the comedians is so much fun.
And that's how you started?
Yeah, that was always like the main idea. It's like this comedy club on wheels mixed in with like this kind of fun drinking experience. So yeah, that was always like the main idea. Like that was, and it's cool that it's evolved into all these other things that we can do with it. And people are still coming up to us with like new ideas of like what we can do with it. And so it's awesome.
Wow.
There's so many other things we can do, and we're excited to like, keep evolving and keep trying new things and see what sticks. So it's been good.
How big is the crew now? Like how many vehicles, how many people?
We only have 2. We have 2 buses. It's me and another driver. We are looking for another driver part-time this year. And we work with like maybe 10 different comedians, I would say.
Yeah, and they're not all comedians either. They're all, like some of them are, historians,
like John.
drag performers. Chad Medved also, who is from the I'll Call You Right Back podcast. We've done a couple of field trips with him, and I think a bingo night or 2.
Yes, we did bingo on the bus, and that was a huge success,
Yeah.
actually.
People love bingo.
It was like, it sold out. It was so much fun, and like it just went off without a hitch, and we need to do more of those for sure.
Does anybody ever get car sick or bus sick on there?
Or
Funny
sick?
you should ask.
Funny you should ask. Like,
Yeah, or they get hammered and then they're
Yeah.
they're
It's funny.
out of control.
That's our number one question,
Last
I would
weekend.
say. And I'm always like, oh, it's so funny. No one's ever thrown up on the bus. And it happened last Saturday for the first time. And it's funny, I was in an Uber like days before. This was like last Wednesday, let's say. And like he was asking me about that. And I was like, no, knock on wood, it's never happened. Then that weekend, it happened.
Somebody's car sick?
Yes, they threw up outside of the bus window while we were driving. They didn't let anyone know, and they didn't let us know when they got off either. So I'm like, I always check the bus after we end a ride to
Yeah.
make sure no one left
Yeah.
a phone, keys or anything. And I'm, checking under the seats and stuff. And like I happen to see like this like pinkish, reddish, gloppy stuff hanging like inside the bus and outside. And I'm like, oh man.
Well, usually when you're
Wow.
like ready to puke, you don't tell a bunch of
No,
people.
I
You're
know.
not
I
super
left the bus, yeah.
super considerate.
But I wish they told me like when they got up, hey, by the way, I'm really sorry. Like I threw up in the back.
or like one of their friends. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Do me that.
He was a friend.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that you think you know who it was because you saw the
Oh,
guy
I know who it was.
get
yeah.
on with like this specific color of beverage
Yeah.
in like one of those
He
milk
had an empty
containers,
gallon milk jug.
and the color matched the color of the vomit.
Yeah, so I know who it was, and he was the
Yeah.
rowdiest person on the bus before we started. So
So was it car sickness or was he
mix.
hammered?
He
Oh,
was
it was probably
hammered.
both.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
that does bring up a good point though, as far as like what people are responsible for, what they have to like sign up for, insurance, those kinds of things. Like talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean we there's like a waiver that people do like agree to, when they buy a ticket or when they rent the bus for like a private rental. There's stuff in there like there's definitely a cleaning fee if like you do this and that. But the biggest thing is just that like, hey, like don't be too rowdy. Like we can kick you off. You won't be refunded. It's things like that.
Have you had to kick anybody off?
Yes, that has definitely happened. That happened early too. That was like,
What do? You pull over,
We
you're like,
want-
get out of here.
yeah, I mean, luckily like the comedians have been really good about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It happened really early on. It was like a couple months in, maybe even the first month. And like, I wasn't driving, I wasn't on the bus, but like the comedians called me at the bathroom break and they're like, hey, there's this group. Everyone wants them off. They're being really rowdy. They're interrupting this. The lady's wearing a short skirt without underwear. She's bending over.
Oh, this was the twerking incident.
Yes. So like it was all, it was
Okay,
just like,
wait.
The twerking
Let's hear about
incident
the
of
twerking incident.
2022.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. You were there.
No,
were
I
you
wasn't
driving
there.
that one?
Mm-mm.
Okay. From how I understand it, there was a group that was
Was this like a
on.
bachelorette party?
It was a group of ladies, right?
I
I
don't
want to
know.
say.
They were
Anyway.
older too, though. That's the thing. They weren't
It's
like
always the
young.
They
older
weren't like
people.
20-somethings.
It's interesting. It's always
They
the
were, like, in
older
their
folks
50s,
who
yeah.
are the boomers,
The
man.
dude that threw up last weekend
Gen
was
X
definitely like
and
65.
boomers,
Yeah.
they get the rowdiest.
Yep.
They gotta get it. They gotta get it out.
They
you
gotta
know?
get it
Yeah.
out.
Something
Yeah.
about that does
Respect
make
it.
sense, though, to be
Yes.
honest, because they're just like, yeah, we're just cutting loose. We're just cutting loose, and then it's like they cut way too
Way
loose,
loose. Like,
and they
you're
forgot.
out of practice. Yeah.
They're out of practice. Like when you're in your 20s, you're like, yeah, I can drink 5 nights in a row and I won't feel a thing. But suddenly you're like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're like,
Yes.
The
just
gut punch.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was this woman who I guess was totally hammered on this early bus that went out, and she was wearing like a mini skirt with no undies. No undies.
That's a choice.
Yep.
And she was like twerking on other guests on the bus who they were not part of their group, and these people were not down with the
Twerk.
twerk. And so anyway, they
Yeah, that
had
was pretty
to
wild.
eventually ask this guest to depart.
They had the whole party leave,
bus.
and they were fine. They totally they
got it.
Yeah, they got it.
So
They got it.
but
yeah,
like,
where did they go?
We recognize that we're out of control.
They probably just took an Uber. I
I think they
this
just
was at our bathroom break, which is on the south side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they just stayed on the south side.
They
That's
might have just been
probably
like,
where
well,
they should
the
have
night's
stayed.
young.
Yeah.
We've never had to call the police though.
No, don't say that.
Knock on
Yeah,
Oh
he-
my
look,
God.
He just said
The
someone,
bus is
no
going
one's
out
going to throw up, and then
twice.
someone
If
threw
you're
up.
listening to this, knock
No.
on
Cops
wood.
They're
Knock on
coming
wood.
this
weekend.
actually, which is so cool. Like when we drive through down, because like so we took the windows out of our big bus, so it's like open air. Which in the winter we do have like curtains that come down. So anyway,
I was in it in the winter.
Yeah, it's,
so
it's
you
fun.
need.
It's so much fun. It's so
Yeah,
much
you
more
definitely
fun.
need
different
some
experience.
Yeah.
cover.
So like it's cool when we're driving through downtown. We got a comedian, we got people on the bus having fun, and like we have music playing. So it's like people as we drive by, like people are enjoying it too, because like they feel like they're a part of it. And like cops are always saying hi. We've had motorcycle cops next to the bus like dancing.
It's so funny.
Like while the
We
music
have a
is
great
by- at, like,
video of
red
that.
lights. Yeah. So like the cops are cool, but I don't want the cops to be called. No.
No, we did also have someone, and then we can
Yeah.
move on from here.
No,
But
these are the
bodily
good stories.
fluid.
This
Yeah.
is the good stuff. Though.
We had someone have a
Tinkle.
urine accident.
tinkle.
It was
tinkle.
on purpose.
It was.
We have kids, so
Yeah.
tinkle.
Tinkle.
Oh, it was not an accident. She did it on purpose.
It was okay. It was on purpose, but
Yeah.
that was I think Matt, the driver, had to use like the bodily fluid cleanup kit that we keep on the bus.
What are you peeing on purpose about? What's
Girl,
what?
you haven't had a drink in a while.
I
Sometimes
think
you can't hold it.
No,
someone,
was this-
someone had had a little too much to drink, and in the beginning we had like this kind of gag prop on the bus where the comedian would like pull out one of those like portable urinals that's like handheld that typically like men use
Yes.
if they have to go like when they're I don't know, on the road or something, and he would joke and say, okay, this is if anyone needs to use the bathroom, here it is.
Pass it around, yeah.
We had a real bathroom break, and we always have. But she took it literally and decided to grab it and use it in the back of the bus towards the end of one of the tours.
Wow.
And again, this was not like, I don't think this was something that got noticed until after the fact.
Yeah.
And like maybe one of the other
And
guests
she
came
did
up.
not make it all in the
Right.
in
And
the
most
journal.
of it spilled out.
Yeah.
In fact, all of it.
Oh man.
In fact, all of it.
Yeah.
And it was like leaking out
Yeah.
of one of the. People aren't going to want to ride the bus after
Luckily-
these
Oh,
stories.
I clean the buses.
Yeah, this is supposed to
We
be.
have never had a complaint about cleanliness on the bus, luckily. So
Yeah.
very
The bus
clean.
is
We
very
clean.
clean.
We clean.
We do
The
a
bus
good
feels
job
much
time.
cleaner
That's-
than like an airline. I gotta tell you,
That's
like,
something
you get on an
that
airline.
we take very seriously is having a clean ride.
Sanitized,
Yeah.
clean. Because we have people that are having their wedding. Like that's the other thing. They're like with their big, expensive, nice dress that they don't want to get dirty. So the bus has to be clean for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Was there ever a moment where you guys were like, all right, we're throwing in the towel. Like this sucks. Or are there a series of moments? Because at least in my business, there are moments where I'm like, why did I do
Yeah.
this? This is so obnoxious. Like this is
It's
such
weird.
an obnoxious thing that I chose to do.
there was like, speaking of the twerker, like early on, there was like,
twerker?
there was a lot of crazy things that you didn't expect to happen right away, like that first summer.
Yeah.
And so like that was like, you're like, oh crap, we didn't talk about rowdy riders, and like those were certain things that we didn't really like plan, think about. So like we were having to learn like what to do about those sort of things. Like, and so when there was like crazy stuff like that happening very early on, which luckily that stuff has really kind of died down. It's not really a big deal anymore. But like that was definitely like a test. You're like, holy crap, like this can be like not all fun and games,
Yeah.
like for sure. And now, oh my gosh, we're dealing with people that are drinking. It's 44 people at a time on the bus. Like they don't know each other. Things could go wrong.
I think also just like you do in life, setting boundaries. You know, you have to set boundaries with the public when you're dealing with the public. So like if we now have kind of this policy in place where if people are late everyone's on the bus, they're ready to leave for their tour, and people are running late, they'll call and be like, hey, I'm like 1 minute away, will you wait for me? We've had to kind of learn the hard way that most people are not 1 minute away.
No.
And we have to go. We have to leave with everyone who's, showed up on time and paid for their ticket, and we get the show on the road.
We have an audience question, and by
No.
audience I mean Nat. She says,
Okay.
what was it like having to depend on employees / contractors like the driver and comedian performers like right off the bat? So what was it like when you're like, oh, it can't just be us two, we have to rely on people?
Yeah, that was a big one because, it was our thing for so long. Luckily, everyone that we very carefully, I think, selected the comedians that we were going to work with, and they were all very excited to be on board. That we were a cool little family and a special little group because we weren't like anything else around. So I think they were all really excited to be a part of this new thing. And we really lucked out with our driver. Interviewed quite a few people, but we've had the same guy since day one.
Shout out to Matt McCann.
Yes, he's been awesome.
Shows up on
But yeah, it's
time,
definitely hard to-
reliable.
yeah, but
That's
they've all
important.
been we did it. We handled it well.
Yeah, I
dealing
think,
with
there's been
employees,
trial and error
yeah,
for
for sure,
sure,
just like
with anything. But I think, trusting people and depending on people
being on
is
time
definitely, it's it can be a challenge, but I think we've lucked out with a really great group of folks and people who are passionate about what they do too. So that brings
huge.
that extra level, I think.
Yeah. I'm curious, how much of your time goes towards this? How often are there rides? And then what are the other things that you're doing, in between
That's a great
rides and
question.
things?
Yeah. I have 2 phones in my pocket right now. One's my own phone and one's the business phone. So that's a constant, answering the phone, answering emails. People are always inquiring. But yeah, the weekends are the busiest for sure with the bus. The bus is out every Friday and Saturday. Week by week, it changes during the week. We had a private this Wednesday night for just to shuttle people from a hotel to the Heinz History Center. So we get a lot of corporate stuff during the week, which is cool. We've actually done a lot of things with some of your neighbors out here where we are at the studio.
Duolingo.
Yeah, but so it's just every week is different, but the summer is nonstop go. I would say April and March have been busier than the past 2.
It seems like from, June to Christmas is really the
nuts.
peak time, with all of the holidays in between and just people wanting to pack in as much as they can before, it gets cold. But yeah, I think for you, you're shouldering a lot of the operations, and what's going on the day-to-day with correspondence and so on.
Yeah, bookkeeping, everything.
Yeah.
So
How's
it's
that?
yeah, it's a
Good.
lot. It's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot. So
How much of your time?
how much of my
I'm
time?
talking, yeah.
Is spent
I don't know.
operationally,
Yeah.
right?
Or
Yeah.
does
'Cause
that
don't
count?
forget, I'm the non-business owner of the crew, so I have no concept.
Ooh, it week by week changes, but it's a full-time job 100%. On top of me, tomorrow, today's Friday, right? Yeah, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to be driving from pretty much 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. tomorrow. On top of that, tomorrow is a pretty unique day, and that's just me. Our other driver is going to be going out for almost as long too. So every week's different, but
And okay.
I think
On
we're at
top
the
of-
point
yeah.
too where we need to hire a third driver, and we're starting talks about possibly someone who could help out with some of the operations.
That's what I was going to say. Would you consider bringing on an operations person? Because, for me, my business, that Natalie handles a lot of that. And literally yesterday, I was like, can we hire another person to just do stupid shit?
yeah. the stuff I
Where,
don't wanna
when
do.
we get requests that are absolutely insane, we could just forward the email to that person and then they can
Yeah.
deal with the crazy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Dealing with crazy people.
there needs to be I just want a virtual assistant who only deals with crazy people.
Total.
Like
The crazy
5 hours
person
a week.
expert.
and they
love
would
that.
just they would just deal with the nut jobs.
Yeah.
And like that would take that off of Natalie's plate. She handles it beautifully, but it chips away at you over time.
yeah.
It like slowly, like it eats away at you.
Yes.
I would say that's something that we disagree on a little bit. I think that we need to hire more people to help us more. And he is a little bit resistant.
It's my baby. It's
It
our
is.
baby.
It's hard
It's
to
very
give
hard.
pieces of the business away because you're like, only I can do this.
Yeah,
I
I've
have
been doing
to
it
be in
since
control.
it is tough. Yeah, because then you're thinking about, I got to train them. I got to make
Yes.
sure I got to make sure they're not snapping at like a customer. Or
Yeah,
like
it's
somebody
hard.
else.
Trustworthy.
It is hard. Yeah, I mean,
It is hard.
You got to
This be
pay
like
them.
an intervention.
thing,
Can we
yeah.
can we like, you know, try to
Okay, we're gonna
convince
shift
him?
to
I'm on
be-
your
No, this
side.
podcast is
I'm
almost
with you.
over
What are you going
right
over
now.
there for?
Because you got to pay them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it does.
On the
another
money
thing.
That's
You
the
gotta
thing.
spend
And
money
you-
to
yeah.
make,
Make money, yes.
Okay.
No, it does. It sucks to have to bring people on
Mm-hmm.
because I did it before I had Natalie. My mom works with Dementia by Day, Natalie, and we have a few other contractors to help us. But I definitely brought on people in the past who I was like, oh,
the-
God,
the face
you
of
know,
the company,
where
yeah.
you realize you're like, this person just isn't getting it. And it's actually making more work for me.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
very hard but when you find somebody who's
Yeah.
good, it's like,
A
oh,
lifesaver.
thank God,
Yeah,
a lifesaver.
I've been waiting for you.
I've
Yeah.
been waiting for
Mhm.
someone to like actually understand what the hell I'm talking about. But when you do, it's a gamble. You hire somebody
100%.
and you're realizing slowly over time, I don't think this person knows knows how to do anything, and they're messing stuff up, and then they're making more work
More
for me.
forward, yeah.
Would you ever consider not driving?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the first step.
Okay.
Well, he's
Sure,
gonna have to
'cause
consider
that's-
not driving here pretty soon when we
Yeah.
have baby number 2
Baby
pop
number
on out.
2.
Yeah. What? You're pregnant?
This is the first.
Is it mine? Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know this was Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
The intervention has shifted. It's now
Yeah, I know,
over
right?
here.
Yeah, for sure. Driving that's definitely the thing that like, you're like, oh, I got to do that again. Like the operation side's all right.
Okay.
The driving like can be annoying. Like
Yeah.
it's very repetitive for sure. So that's definitely the easiest next step is to like get a lot of the driving workload off of me.
Do you need a special license for buses?
Yes, a CDL. We have you need a Class B. You need a passenger endorsement and an air brake endorsement to drive with us. Yeah.
Heavens.
Which like it sounds like a lot, but like to get your air brake endorsement, it's like 20 questions
Oh,
on like
okay.
a test, and they're really easy.
Okay.
And then you have to do one thing during the driving test. It's super easy. Passenger, same thing. It's like you just like touch a seat, and it's kind of a joke.
Okay.
Sorry, it's true.
Yeah.
But to get your CDL is challenging. But those little endorsements are super easy.
Yeah, right. Just checking boxes.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have a question from the audience as well. Do you have what you would consider your favorite trip, or like the pinnacle?
The pinnacle. Yeah, for sure. Like things that we offer. Is
No,
that,
your own like experience, like a favorite trip.
like
just-
one specific.
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
It can be a
Favorite trip
couple.
with the bus, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Not just like a trip into outer space on a random
That's
Saturday.
hard. So my favorite thing that we offer are the Steelers comedy rides, and those are really special because we only do them during football season. It's only on a home game weekend when the Steelers are playing, and we get Steelers fans from all over the world that are in town for the game that choose to ride our bus and have fun with us on the day before, and those are so much fun. We look forward to those every season. That's my favorite thing that we offer. One favorite trip. That'll be hard.
It might have been the lady without the underwear.
I don't know.
That's
yeah.
my favorite trip.
I would say one of the drag shows was one of my favorites. There was a Taylor Swift Galentine's ride last year that I went on with a couple of friends, and just to have like a drag show literally on wheels roving around Pittsburgh with a bunch of drunk ladies singing Taylor Swift and drag performers doing the splits in the middle of the
While we're
bus
driving,
aisle
yeah.
while we're driving and hollering out the window at people. It's kind of an energy like no other. That was really fun. And I mean, all the drag shows that I've been on have been a blast, but that was probably my fave.
Now the comedy ones and the drag one, how long does that last, and how many times do you stop, and where do you stop, and how did you establish that?
So we have a set route for both of those. They start downtown, where everyone gets on the bus. We drive for about 45 minutes. Then we have a bathroom break at the halfway point, which
Where's
is
that?
Get-Go on Southside. Yeah, by the, FBI building.
Wow.
People
which has
can get
worked out-
Fireball.
It's worked out really, really well. There's space for the buses there. It's great because everyone's like, oh, cool. Like I can go get a drink. I can go get food. And like I can, it's good. It's been really good. Good spot for that. Same thing with the drag. That's where our halfway is. And so the whole thing after that, then we do another 45 minutes. So like with the bathroom break, it's about an hour and 45 minutes from start to finish.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And what was the other question? Bathroom break. Yeah, I think that was
That
it.
was it.
Yeah.
Length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we have to wrap up this
Okay.
this party.
Yeah.
This has been really fun.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kat
you.
and Nick, for coming on and talking about the Burgh Bus.
Yeah.
We'll put all the info in the description of the podcast so people can find out about you and if they are coming into Pittsburgh or if they live here and they want to get on the bus.
Yeah. Do you want to do a real quick, easy way to find you?
Yeah, sure. Our social media handles are at Burgh Bus across
BURGH.
BURGH. Do not forget the
You
H.
jag off.
Yeah, at Burgh Bus for Facebook and Instagram, and I think we have a TikTok.
don't use it.
You'll find out. And burghbus.com, www.burghbus.com to buy tickets and check out all the things that we have to offer. Look at pictures, all that good stuff. Hope to see you on the bus really soon.
With panties.
With panties, please.
Please.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, guys. It's great.